Okay, so this is a follow-up to my talk from Future Decoded on MonoGame and taking your XNA games all the way through Universal and to Universal Windows apps. So what you can see here obviously is the Xbox Live Indicate original XNA sample, which I have now got open in Visual Studio 2015. Yes, you did hear me right, it is in 2015. No more detail on that. I'll certainly put comment in the post on this. But anyways, we have the sample here. It's got all the code in it. It's got the content project with all the samples in it. Tweaked a bit slightly so that we added accelerometer and some on-screen touch controls. But apart from that, it's all working. So we run this now based on the Windows one, but I could have run the Xbox, the phone one. It all still works. Can't deploy to the Xbox with 2015, but it all works. And there's a little man. He's running around, jumping around, and we're all working. But enough of that. So here we have our nice little project itself. So we've got XNA, we've got our full XNA projects that we've got around there. What do you want to do when you're going to take it to either Windows 8 or 8.1 and then Universal apps? So starting quite simple. So in here, so I've got there's the platform project, and what I've done is I've created a Universal project. Now, a side note here is that you can't create Windows 8.1 Universal apps in 2015. Sounds odd. You have to use Visual Studio 2013 to at least create the project. The project templates aren't there in 2015 because they're going away. Simple as. Everything now has been done in 2015 is for Universal Windows apps. So for Windows 8, you'll use 2013. For Windows 10 and beyond, you can use 2015. It's simple as, and that's the way it's gone. So quickly open up. And what we're going to do here now is take the XNA project as is, take the code, take the content, and put it into our project. Now, if you look over here now, I've got our Windows project, our Windows Phone project, and our shared project, which is the standard template for a universal project. Also in here, we get a game CS file, and I get a game page, AppSample, all usual stuff. And I've left auto preview on. Let's turn that off because it's just irritating. Now, what I'm going to do, because this is going to be a project, I'm going to basically get rid of that game file, and I'm going to put all of my XNA code into my shared project, which means I've got one set of code for both projects. Now, if you want to know more about what's involved with that, then I suggest you follow my Future Decoded talk or just grab me around the world. So if I go up here, XNA platformer, and into the code, and I'm simply going to take all of the actual code with one exception. I don't want the program to ESCS because obviously Windows projects already have their main part for instantiating the project, so we don't want that from the original one. But everything else from the game file and all the other files I needed, I'm taking them across. Now, at the moment, obviously, is that I've got a namespace issue here because my game project is using the MonoGame Universal Platformer namespace. Cover that. But all my code is in whatever my previous project's namespace was. Now, if you've got shared libraries and things, they're staying fine, but keep aware of what you're doing with namespaces. I could have just called this project exactly the same, Ned Platformer, but I might as well be awkward. I usually am. So fix all those. Yeah, so I'm going to replace all. In my first test of just doing this, I just renamed just the name of it, which also renamed all of the classes and files. Whoops. So I've got those. Then what I now need to do is currently my XNA project is still looking for the original game class that was there. So I need to update it to my new one. So I've got my platformer game class, which inherits from Microsoft XNA framework.game. And it's called platformer game, not game one. So to change this, I go to my gamepage.xaml.cs file, the code behind, and all I have to do is tell it that instead of the old one, I'm instantiating now this new platform game. Okay, so that's the code. And because this is MonoGame, zero changes. Everything just works. You might have a few little things. It will run. Now, bear in mind, obviously, because you're making up one project that's working on two completely different resolutions, you're going to have to sort out your resolutions on things, which is a fundamental part of the talk. Now, that sorts out the actual code. What about the content? So, in my original project here, so XNA, I still have my content. Now, what I can do is I can simply take all of this, except for the build folders, as is, and I'm going to put this into my content project, which is in the shared project. It's only simply there to note that, it says the shared central area, and by default, I do have a content project already here. Now I could go back over here into the project, or I can simply double click on the content project here. Mind I've got nothing, but the MonoGame team did a very brilliant thing in the fact that, because this is the new way of doing content projects, we can simply import the old one. And for this, there it is. It just takes all the content, it's imported. I'm going to save, and I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to build it, and off it goes. And it's now taking all of my config that I had in my original content project and building it for the new. See, everything works. Just that. All the same, even if you have content custom importers, you have to do a few things, but apart from that, everything just works. So we'll close that now, go over to here, and I can build this project. He says, staring into the screen as the build winds up. And all it's doing here is it's building the content based upon the Windows project, so that's my current starter one. It will also build the content for the Windows Phone project, and the code is shared between the two. That's worked. Now if I hit run, he says, yes, I've run this project once before, so I'm overwriting it with a new one. And there we go, as you can see, and I've actually got touchscreen machine here, so I'm actually touching on the screen instead of using my mouse. And I can jump around, and off it goes, and there, it's just working. Nothing to do. That's it. I've just taken an XNA project without any changes, put it into a universal one. Great. Windows 8.1, here I come and publish. But we also want to take it to our universal platform, and there's a few little gotchas when we do this. So if I add a new project, because I'm actually using the development release of MonoGame at the moment, which has the release version of the Windows 10 Universal project. If you use the one that's in 3.4, it's still the development one. So if you want to do Windows 10, you'll have to use the development version. Which, okay, I can quickly show you this, how to get it, because I had to chase up some people today. So we go to the monogame.net website, go to the download page, and there's the official releases, and down here are the development builds. And in here, we've simply got the MonoGame for Visual Studio, and that is the Windows installer for MonoGame from the development release, not the release. Anyway, switch back. So our Windows project, and basically what I'm going to do is, to make my life easier, I'm actually calling it the same as the rest. This way I don't have to change any namespaces or stuff like that when I'm doing it, but I have to also put it into a subfolder or a complaint, so I already have another one. Anyway, so I'm adding a new project, calling the MonoGame Universal Platformer. Lots of errors come up. Now, the reason the errors come up is because with the new Windows 10 Universal Platforms, they now deploy everything through NuGet. So at the moment, .NET doesn't exist in this project, why all these errors are suddenly popping up. So what I have to do is build it. It will go to NuGet, get the latest version of .NET Core for universal projects. It'll go off, and then eventually it will wear through its gears and suddenly realize, no, everything is actually in the project and we can actually do something. So this, once it's actually installed, there we go. So the Microsoft.NET Core Universal Windows Platform NuGet has turned up, and all my little red lines are gone. And if I make sure I can build this again, and we'll see there's no projects. Now, lots of funny things with Windows 10 projects, but anyway, first and foremost, never remove these two files. Game app and game page, never remove them. If you do, you're going to have to regenerate projects. It's a pain in the backside. Okay, so first off, like before, we're going to get rid of that default game project. And Universal Project can also reference the Windows 8.1 shared projects. So all of our code we have in our shared projects, fine, it's there. But we have one problem. When we were talking with the Windows 8 Universal projects for Windows and Windows Phone, they got very similar styles of XAML. So our app.xaml and game.xaml are still in our shared project. But with the Universal projects, obviously they are very different. So we need to move them. And because we need them in both our Windows and Windows Phone projects, we need to copy them to those projects. And that's all we have to do, just copy them over so that we've got them in there so we don't break our original projects. You could, if you wanted, to just copy it to one and link it to the other. That's fine. It's completely up to you. And then we have to make sure that we then exclude these two projects from it. And now all three projects have got their own app.xaml and game.xaml. Obviously, at the moment, like with the universal ones, our game.xaml is still pointing at our original game class. So again, goes my platform of game, still highlighted. Go back up, go into my game.page.xaml.cs, and again, I'm doing exactly the same. I'm telling it, no, I want to run the platform of game, not my original game class. Save that. Now, another little thing is that when you add a universal project, I don't know why, but it doesn't enable it for build or deploy. So I simply right-click on the solution, select the configuration manager, and make sure that your checkboxes for building the universal platform are checked, or else it'll tell you you need to deploy it before it'll work. We build it, which takes a very small fraction of time, and that's fine. So all our code is there, but we've still not got our content. But we already have a content project for this. So if we simply delete this, and all we're going to do is add in a link to the content project we're already using for other projects. So this isn't new. This is exactly the same project. Go to content, there's my content project, and most importantly here, I'm going to add it as a link because the content definition has to be relative to where the resources are. It's best to keep them together. If you need different content projects for different platforms because you're using different assets, keep them in the same content structure. Like XNA days, keep it together. Now, once I've added it, very importantly, you must change the build action. If you don't change this, basically nothing will work. So here with the MonoGame content reference, now we go and build that again. So we know our code works. Now we make sure our content works. Away it's whirring away, cranking those levers. And now this is building the content for a universal project along with all our code. And once that's done, I can simply run it. And that's it. Now you'll notice I've done nothing to the code. The code's fine. I've done nothing to the content. The content's fine. And here again, in my little touch machine, I'm going to say, I'm going to go over. I've got up. I don't know if you can hear this, but I've got audio. Happy little jumping things. I can go for space, and off it goes again. And everything works. Touch, orientation, everything else. And honestly, I highly recommend watching the rest of my Future Decoded talk if you're there. If not, I'll probably repeat the session at another user group near you. Let's go through some of these if you want to know more, because obviously things like resolution you need to take care of, all the different ways you do import, a few of the little things, but as you can see, very easy, nothing to it. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Questions, queries in the comments things, or just hit me up on my blog at darkgenesis.zenithmoon.com. And look forward to speaking and talking to you anyone at Future Decoded this year. Goodbye.